Hey everybody, welcome back to jb Precision YouTube channel. This is going to be episode 3 of my load development series. This episode is going to be about powder, primer, and bullets. As you guys saw in my last videos, I am going to be doing this load development in this series with my 243 Winchester. It's a Remington 700 varmint. It's got a factory barrel, so I have to stick to lighter weight bullets because of the twist rate. So for that reason, I've chosen the 95 grain Berker Classic Hunters. It's about the heaviest bullet I can shoot in that twist rate and still get full stability at my altitude in the 243. I've got Federal 210 gold medal match primers, Peterson large rifle primer brass, and I don't have it here on the bench, but I'm using IMR 4451 rifle powder. So you guys know the basics on that, and I went over how to choose your components in my first video. Second video I went over how to find the lands in your rifle. So now we're going to talk about how to select your charge weights and how to really get started into loading some rounds. This can be the most important and the most dangerous step in load development and reloading in general. Powder is extremely dangerous if you handle it incorrectly. So it's very, very important that you understand everything you're doing. You follow guidelines, you read the manuals, and don't keep any other powder on your bench or around your bench except the one you're supposed to be using. And double check that it's actually the correct powder. Read the label, double check yourself. It's even experts and guys who've been doing it for years can grab the wrong thing sometimes. So just check it every time and keep yourself safe. Also, empty your powder measures. If you have, this is just a Lee powder measure. If you have, a Charge Master or the Hornady auto dispenser things, and make sure you empty the powder out. Make sure you clean them out. You don't want to get, your 9mm powder mixed up with your, 308 Winchester powder or something like that. You don't want none of that to happen. So, just be cautious. And everything I show you in this video, I'm just going to show you published load data from Sierra and Hodgdon. You can go right to those sites and use those apps and follow what I've done. I'm going to show you that here in a second. But everything else, do everything at your own precaution. Everything I do, just the loads I shoot in my rifle and stuff I'm going to show you, it worked in my rifle. It doesn't mean it's going to work in the next rifle I get or the next barrel I put on, or your rifle or your buddy's rifle. So what I'm showing you is just some advice and some techniques that I do, and I'm trying to answer some questions for friends of mine and some other people that may be interested. So just be aware that don't copy every single thing I do as far as the charges. I'm going to show you my techniques and what I recommend, but as far as the powder charges I end up shooting, don't just jump right to those or even think your rifle might be able to work with those. That's why I'm going to show you how I start low and work up, finding a maximum charge in my rifle. So without any more being said, I'm going to go over, and now I'm going to click this over to my phone and show you the Sierra app and the Hodgdon manual online, and show you exactly where I found this data and where you can find data for your rifle and your cartridge and the bullets you're shooting. So stay tuned. Hey guys, this is the Sierra app on my phone. I have an iPhone, and I just got this from the App Store. It's free, so if you're an iPhone guy, you can go get that from the App Store. If you're an Android guy, I'm not sure if they have this on their App Store or not. You can go check, but anyways, this is the app I use. This is one of the apps I use. I like to use multiple online sources and obviously books, in person, the manuals. But I really like the Sierra app. They have a lot of information on here. They have information, just for reloading in general. They got their, bullets, information on their bullets, and they have data, obviously. So I like this app. It's nice to have because it's like a loading manual in your pocket. If you go to a store and you can't find the powder you normally buy, and you don't know what to do, you can just pull out this app, find something that they have data listed for, and you can buy that powder and try it. So we'll just jump into this. They have a ton of different calibers or cartridges that they have data on. Right here is 20 Tactical. That's the smallest they have. I'll just scroll through here and you guys can see everything from 20 Tactical. They go I'll go all the way down here. You can just see real quick how many they actually have. It's really impressive, the data they have. I mean, they get everything up. There's pistol stuff, but everything basically up to 45-70, 458, Winchester, all the way down this little tiny 20 tactical. So we're doing 243 Winchester. So we're gonna select that, and right here it just has the lightest bullet being 55 grains. So we're gonna go ahead and go to a 95 grain bullet because we're shooting 95 grain burgers. I couldn't find low data for the 95 grain burgers through Burger or anyone else with IMR 4451. So I'm just using Sierra's data with their 95 grain Match King. So they're both match bullets. They're both hollow point bowtail bullets. So this data will get us close. So this is what I used. You can see here there's about a dozen powders they have listed. Like I was saying before, they have a lot of data, and this is how most calibers are in their app here. So it's really nice to have a wide range of powders to pick from, because in today's world with how crazy powder can be, if your standard load's H1000 with a 243, you go to the store, you can't find H1000, but you can find IMR 4350, you can find H4831, at least I've seen it, and I've been able to find IMR 4451. So all three of those are listed here with the 243 and 95 grain bullets. That's just one example. So it's nice to have this basically load manual in your pocket, and it's really nice to have that convenience. So jump into this. I used IMR 4451, and Sierra just starts you out right here in the middle at 41.1. Their minimum is 38 grains with IMR 4451, and their maximum is 43.1. What I like to do is I like to start out shooting 10 rounds initially for pressure testing, and I like to shoot them all at the same target to map their point of impacts and look for some groups to form from consecutive charge weights. And I like to shoot 10 rounds, like I said. I like to do half grain increments. And how I figure out my charge weights is I look at the Sierra's book here. They show 43.1 as max. I like to add 1 grain to that, and I just round it to 44 grains, and I call that either the max I'll work up to. My rifle or your rifle might not be able to get to that max load. Stop when you see pressure issues. You just want to set a max for this test, hoping that you find some nodes in there and you find pressure in your rifle. You don't want to be able to shoot. If your rifle can't shoot max, that's okay. The point of this isn't just shoot up to max. It's just to set a max and find the max in your rifle, if that makes sense. I don't recommend you copying anyone's load data. Don't copy your buddies or someone online. Don't directly copy anything I do. I'm not responsible for you loading something in your rifle and hurting yourself or hurting your rifle. I'm just trying to explain my techniques and what I do and try to help guys out. There's a lot of different information out there on load development. A lot of people just kind of skip over the whole powder charge thing, and they just talk about loads they used to shoot or loads that work for them, and I just really want to cover a good way to find loads and things that I've used and data that's worked for me. So I'm going to start at 44 grains, or not start there, but call 44 grains my max. Since I'm shooting 10 rounds, I want to, just one round's going to be 44 grains, so then I have to take 4.5 grains off 44. That puts us at 39.5, and 39.5 puts us down here right towards the bottom with 44.51, and that will be a safe starting point. So I started at 39.5 grains, and I worked up to 44 grains in half grain increments. For this test, I was actually able to get all the way to 44 grains without pressure signs. I won't go any higher than that just because I'm already a grain over the book max, and I had good results from my test, so there's no reason to keep stretching the maximum. All you're looking for is to find a load that shoots well and gives you relatively good velocity. But velocity is not everything. You can't chase speed if you can't have accuracy. It's great if you can have accuracy and speed, but you really want consistency and accuracy. And speed is kind of an afterthought. It should be, because if you got a rifle that shoots 1/4-inch groups and it's 100 feet a second slower than the max, but the max load shoots 1-inch groups and is all over the place day to day, that's not what you're looking for. You really want consistency and accuracy. So that's what I shoot for, and that's what I look for. So I'm going to click over now to go back and show you the actual target I shot with this test. Now, again, this test was shooting from 39.5 grains to 44 grains with the 95 grain Burger Classic Hunters, and I seeded them 20 thousandths off the rifling just for a start. I fired them all for my 243. I fired them just consecutively, waited about a minute between a shot, and these were all shot at 100 yards. And this is how I do all of my initial testing. And you can also record this velocities with a chronograph. I used to do that instead of mapping your shots for point of impact. I used to do the same test but use a chronograph and try to find some nodes in there or flat spots. That has kind of led me down a path sometimes where I don't always I end up chasing my tail at the end of it. Some people have really good luck with the 10-round, Satterley method. I've had mild success with it. Most of the time it ends up, I end up in a weird node where it's not repeatable and I end up chasing my tail. And the last thing someone wants to do when they're new to reloading is have one more variable that they have to try to, figure out, or, you don't want to get lost when you're trying to do load development. So doing the method where I map my point of impacts at 100 yards, that has really shown me to find me, an optimal charge weight. I don't exactly do an OCW test. I kind of do my own thing. Some other guys do similar to I do, and it works. So I'll just get into that, and see you guys in a minute. Okay, guys, here is the target that I shot at 100 yards with my 243 using the 95 grain Burger Classic Hunter IMR 4451 from 39.5 grains to 44 grains. Peterson brass, Federal 210, seated 20 thousandths off the rifling. I started with a fresh, clean barrel. Every time I shoot a new bullet or new powder or anything, I like to completely clean the barrel, get the carbon and copper fouling out. So I started with a freshly clean barrel. I fired 2 fouling shots, one here, that was a cold, clean barrel, and then the second shot went right in this area. So those were the 2 fouling shots, and then from there I started at the main 10-shot test, 39.5, and worked all the way up to 44 grains. And I was extremely impressed and surprised by these groupings. This group, I should say. This group is under 3/4 of an inch for 11 shots if you include the second fouling shot. That's extremely impressive. This again was with a 4.5 grain difference in powder charge from 39.5 grains to 44 grains. And I aimed at the center of the slot. I purposely dialed up so I wasn't shooting away my aiming point. And I was expecting stuff to be a little more scattered. This is the group you'd see after you have a fine-tuned load. To see this kind of results from just the pressure test and with just a 20 thousandths off seating depth. There's no powder charge tuning, no seating depth tuning at all. I just threw these loads together just to find my pressure and to try to map out some point of impacts and find some nodes. And this right here just shows that this rifle is going to love this recipe, this load recipe. This powder, primer, bullet, and case combination is all working together. And that seating depth, I would say, is pretty close to being where it should be. I'm going to go ahead and test seating depth after this, but I think 20 thousandths off the rifling is going to be, from what I've seen here, if they all shot this small with 4.5 grain variation in powder charge, I think 20 thousandths off the rifling is going to do well when I use this, the same powder charge. So this is exceptional though. And what I did is what I usually do is I take a separate piece of paper and I put it on my clipboard, just a piece of notebook paper, and I'll mark down on there. I'll just draw, an X or something for the target. Every time I fire a shot, I'll mark down on that separate piece of paper where that round hit. And when you have, normally get about 2 or 2.5 inch group. Sometimes if it does really well, you'll have a 1.5 inch group. But you can see the separate impacts, and you'll have like a few shots that group together, and then you'll start scattering away. You're looking for a group with multiple charge weights to form somewhat of a group. When you see this, this is just, it's hard to decipher this, but I lost count. I lost where I was after about the 5th or 6th shot because it just started forming this, hole here. I do know though that 42.5 to 44 grains hit somewhere inside this center hole. So that tells me that that's a good sign that they'll hit somewhere in there. And I had no pressure at all at any of these charge weights. So I'm just going to start at 43.5 and then fine tune it from there. Because if they all hit here, 43.5 will give me good velocity. And I know 42.5 to 44 all hit in this hole. So 43.5, right there. Whoops. That's right there in the middle. So that just shows that 43.5 would be a good load to start with. So I'm going to go take 43.5. I'm going to adjust seating depth, do a seating depth test with it. I'm going to try, probably start out just doing 5,000 increments just to see how it does. If I don't find success with that, then I can fine tune that. But I'm going to do a seating depth test, and I'll follow up with some more videos on how this does. So stay tuned, guys.